So Jamie, AJ, thanks so much for having me and getting all this set up. I really appreciate it. And welcome everybody. And appreciate you taking a little time out of your day to spend here to learn a little bit about DoorBird and kind of how to implement it and some advanced techniques for this great integration by really leveraging on this driver by Cindev, AJ and Jamie. So my name is Matt Fulford, and I am the Integrations Development Manager at DoorBird. And to kick us off here, I wanted to just provide maybe 5 or 6 slides just to kind of go over DoorBird in general if you're not super familiar with DoorBird. So like really who we are, why DoorBird, and where you can find us. So DoorBird was founded in 2014, and we launched our first IP video door station in 2015. Actually, our first sale, even though we are headquartered in Berlin, Germany, the first DoorBird went to Orlando, Florida. Just a fun little fact from back in the day. But we have 2 offices in the US. So in the United States, we have an office in Jacksonville, Florida on the East Coast, which is where I am. We have sales and tech support. And additionally, we have marketing, and the same for San Francisco. So completely separate time zone. We have sales, tech support, and marketing. So we're able to provide a lot of tech support and sales support within about 11 hours out of the day, just leveraging our 2 offices that we have. In Berlin, where our headquarters are, we have all of our R&D, all of production, all of logistics. Manufacturing is all located right in Berlin, Germany. So it's really great. We became part of Assa Abloy Group about maybe a little over almost 3 years ago now, which has been really great. DoorBird in total has about 120 employees just for the DoorBird brand. And we're on, I would say, around 120, 130,000 projects at this point. Next slide, please, Jamie. All right, so the first couple slides about why DoorBird is one. DoorBird is a German company, and of course we adhere to the GDPR when it comes to our customers' data and our customers' privacy. We are using high-end materials. Stainless steel is our standard material for which the DoorBird is being built from, so it's really made to last. DoorBird is super easy to install. Most of the installations are completed with just the iPhone app. So whether it's a really high-end residential property or just a really simple install, you can do all of the setup and configuration with just the DoorBird app after scanning a few QR codes. Our individual solutions really talks to really the tagline for DoorBird: when technology meets design. So we have about 50 different finishes, a lot of different form factors, and even some custom solutions, which you can design yourself right on our 3D configurator. So there's really no limitation to what type of DoorBird you can put on your project. And of course, we have a free app. So super useful on the DoorBird side of things. And there's no recurring fee. There's no licensing for the app. It's just included with the purchase of the DoorBird. Next slide, please, Jamie.
Yep.
All right. So why DoorBird? Slide 2 of 3. I just want to talk about the finish. I found some really great images on our gallery that I thought I would highlight here. On the left, you see a whole list of our different RAL colors. And basically, these are all the ones you can get powder coated. So of course, you can find some really exotic colors, but you can also find some really cool options to really match the aesthetics and kind of the what you're trying to do with the entryway of your home. In the middle there, you have some of our more, I would say, traditional or elegant finishes. We have some PVD coating options like titanium and brass, and of course our stainless steel, which is probably our most popular finish. It's just our standard stainless, which is really cool. And on the right, you can see a combination of a little bit of everything. We even have 2 living finishes that we offer. So if you're looking for a really elegant front door station, maybe to match some existing fixtures, we have a real brass, And we also have a real architectural bronze that's really going to just patina with the home. It's a really nice product to leave with your customers. And in the bottom left, you see a door station on a pedestal. That's one that came from our 3D configurator. So maybe hard to see, but there's a custom engraving on it. It's a custom form factor in that black powder coating. So, and it's a really unique solution there. And next slide, please, Jamie. All right, so 3 of 3 of why DoorBird. We have some really cool form factors to really allow you to really fit into whatever the project requirements are. You can see we do some flush mounting options. In the bottom right, you can see a really cool surface mount. It's really small form factor intercom. And then kind of in the middle on the left, you'll see a really unique intercom, which is called the D1812. And it fits in a Door King 1812 back box. And if you don't know what that is, the Door King 1812 is a super popular analog intercom system. And we have run across a lot of these housings that are mounted into stonework or brick. It's really nice for the DoorBird to be able to fit in that existing back box. It can save your customer a lot of work if they're trying to upgrade to an IP intercom or something that works with Control4 without having to redo a lot of the facade of their building or either their entryway. And to the left, you can see that we are working in the Control4 app. So all of the units we're mentioning here are completely compatible with the Control4 system and the driver. Next slide. All right, so almost to the end here. I just wanted to mention where you could find DoorBird. So the best way to find us is through ADI and Snap One stores. There's many of the branches that keep our most popular products in stock right at the branch. Of course, you can order directly from the e-commerce side of things with ADI or the Snap One side. And we really like for people to pick them up locally as well. It makes the if you ever have any issues or you need to swap out or get a different one, it makes that process a lot easier dealing with your local branch. So of course, we're always happy to do business that way. And let's see. Next slide, Jamie. Oh, that was it. All right. So back to Jamie and AJ. Thank you so much for sitting through this little refresher from me. And we'll kick it off to some of the more technical stuff.
Okay. Thanks, Matthew. Appreciate it. First
Sure.
off, I just want to tell you a little bit about Cindev. I'm Jamie Paris. I'm our software sales representative. My job is to pretty much do demos with dealers, do these webinars, things like that. So if you ever want a private demo, you could definitely email us at info@cindev.com, and I could set up a private demo on any of our drivers with you. With me is AJ Brunson, who's the lead developer of this driver. Why don't you say hi real quick, AJ?
Hi, everybody. Also, as Jamie's going through everything, if you guys have questions, there is a Q&A section in Zoom. That's the section where if you type a question, we'll see it. We'll either try to answer it live or we'll reply back in the Q&A section. But yeah, if you guys have questions or want me to go over something more advanced while we're going through it, that is the area that you should do that.
Okay, perfect. So a little bit about us. We have over 20 years of experience installing Control4 systems and over 15 years of experience writing Control4 drivers. Today, we have wrote over 100 drivers for Control4. And the main thing I want to point out is when we write a driver for Control4, we always try to find the easiest way to make it configure with Control4. We try to get as much of the configuration process done for you. So once you install it, it's very easy to set up and use. And then we try to make it as feature rich as possible as well. What we're going to be going over in today's webinar is how to install the DoorBird, the driver installation. We're going to go over basic doorbell integration, some advanced integration features, as well as some non-doorbell DoorBird devices. And then the features we're going to be going over are the SIP intercom, the custom buttons and how to program those, and then push and pop-up notifications that are built into the driver. Where you can get this driver is on drivercentral.io. There's a free download. You just download it to your Control4 projects folder or drivers folder, and then you can install it. It's just on there. You could search for it as well, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
It is compatible with OS2, OS3, and X4. It is compatible with all the DoorBird units, and the driver also supports both Wi-Fi and Ethernet installation. So briefly, I'm just going to show the product page. So this is where you would find the download on Driver Central. You just go to downloads. But one thing I do want to point out is this documentations tab. If you go here, if you're working with a MDU or a Doorbird that has multiple doorbell buttons, we have a full installer's guide there you can go to, as well as if you're just working with the A1121, which is just the keypad, we have the installer's guide on that section as well. So that being said, I'm going to pass it on to AJ. And again, we do have the Q&A section at the end. We'll just try to go through any questions and show those after we're done showing how to do this video here. So I'm going to pass this off to AJ, and he's going to show you how to set it up.
Okay. Yeah, so welcome everybody. I am obviously, my name is AJ, and yeah, I've been working with Doorbird since the very beginning. As soon as I saw this product come on the IoT smart home market, I just absolutely knew it was the right device for smart home integrators. It just, I've said this before, but it checks all the boxes that you need as an integrator. You know, it's local communication, no cloud. It's a part that doesn't require a monthly fee. It's just, it has SIP built in. And the other thing that I really want to highlight about Doorbird that's unique is that I have had over the years, I've been able to work with their engineering team to improve the integration. So it's very, very dialed in. And that's kind of unique from the manufacturing points. I work with a lot of manufacturers and develop a lot of drivers. And Doorbird, when for example, we got the SIP working and the Doorbird was the original one to get SIP working with Control4. And that's because Doorbird actually had to change the firmware on their unit to make it work with Control4. And so I just want to highlight that it's hard to find a manufacturer that's so explicitly dedicated to the smart home, the custom CI channel. So with that, I'm going to go over how to install a Doorbird. If you guys again have questions, go through the Q&A. So the first thing, after your Doorbird is installed, like it's plugged in, it's on the network, that kind of thing, you are going to log into the administrative side of the app. That's going to be using the 0000 address. And so once you're in to the Doorbird app, you're going to go up to the top under settings and you're going to create a new user. And it's important that you create a new user. Could you use one of the two users? Sure. But in general, this is just kind of goes for all IoT integrations, is you should always create a dedicated user for the smart home control system. And so I created this second user. It already gave me the password, all of that. I tagged it Control4 Integration, and that's so in 2 to 3 years, when I log back into this house, I know what the heck this does. The next thing that you have to do with this user is you need to give it all of the permissions that the Doorbird has. And this is really, really important. This is actually one of the #1 problems that we get when somebody calls up and says, hey, my Doorbird doesn't work. It's that I'm using user 0001 or something, and they haven't enabled API operator. So obviously if API operator is not on, the API isn't going to work. So just check all these boxes when you create the user. So once that's in, you're going to save it. And then the other thing that you're going to do with Control4 is you're going to scroll down here to enabling SDDP Control4. And this is the Control4's SDDP. I'm assuming everyone knows what SDDP is. If you don't know, there's websites on Control4's site about it. But it's super helpful when installing and configuring devices if the manufacturer has SDDP. Those are the two areas in the app that are important to getting it set up and just basic running. You don't need to go through anything else. You don't need to set up any of the other sections. Later, when we talk about the more advanced stuff like keypads and Bluetooth, you would go into those sections. So but we'll skip over that for now. So now let's go into the Control4 system. So I've added this Doorbird. You can either add it via the Discover tab, which I've already done. If you don't add it through the Discover tab, then you would add the driver and manually. You would go into Connections, and then you can either drag over the SDDP information into the Doorbird, or you can type the IP address. We worked with Doorbird tremendously on making sure that anytime the IP address changes of Doorbird, it updates in Control4 and does all the revalidations of the webhooks and everything. That being said, you guys are third-party integrators. You should be reserving or statically assigning the IP address. So once the IP address is in, you're going to type in that username and password that you created from the app. Once that happens, it's going to say connected. It'll give you the kind of Doorbird that it's connected, the version, that kind of thing. And it's going to start building out all of the webhooks, all of the configurations automatically for you. So after that, and that's it. And so once that's in, the Doorbird is effectively installed at this point. You can hit refresh navigators. It's on the screen. We already we pre-set up the camera for you, so this is all done for you. The snapshot works. The the H.264 video works. Like everything is all good for you to send. Oh, I think it's I on this one. It's got the intercom all set up. All of that's working. So I'm going to go into how to configure those things, but I'm going to pass it over to, we have a live video here. We're going to show you what happens. So in this case, the Doorbird is now installed. It's hooked up. It's set up with SIP already. It's already linked up. Everything's good to go. So
we're going to go ahead and press the button now, and you'll see. So I'm going to press it. Triggers the doorbell. You see here we have the open gate custom button, unlock door custom button. You can answer. We're going to cut off the feedback here. So then you could talk to them, whatever, at the door or gate, and then you can let them in with these custom buttons, however you want to do that. I'm going to go ahead and close that out. And now AJ will just kind of show you how to set up those custom buttons and those other things. Okay, since he's having issues real quick, I'm just going to show you the keypad as well. So we'll get into those programming, so we don't have to go jump back and forth here. But let's say you enter it, you have keypads as well to let people in. So I'm going to enter in my keypad here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, enter. It'll Jamie. So we have so there is the pop-up notification that says Jamie open the door. That's a built-in user that you can do from there. Is yours ready to share again, AJ?
Mm-hmm. Okay. So sorry, Composer decided to shut on me. So in here, let's go through the settings and the configurations of the driver so you can see how kind of everything's working. So the driver is designed to handle all the generic events that come in. So there's this drop down here called events, and these are all the types of events that can come in from the Doorbird. So when somebody uses the Bluetooth, when a doorbell is pushed, when somebody uses the fingerprint, when somebody uses the keypad, when there's motion detected, when the device is online, when it's offline, when a relay is used, RFID, the key fob, and then if you silence the Doorbird. So I'm going to start with doorbell because that's the most common. So when the doorbell has been pressed, this event container gets triggered. And so out of the box, I was configuring this earlier, it will log to the internal Control4 history. It will send a push alert to all the phones that have this house in this on their phones. It's not going to trigger an announcement agent, but if you wanted to, let's say you had a doorbell announcement that you wanted to like a front door ding dong sound. If you already had built that announcement, then it would be listed here and you could select it and then it would trigger. And then this is the intercom group that is triggered for the doorbell when it pushes. Out of the box, it's all, which is all the touchscreens in the project. If you have 20 plus touchscreens in the house and you only want a certain group of touchscreens to trigger, then you could change this and you could pick a different intercom group. I can show you. So in here, we'll go to communication. These are the intercom groups. So like we could do an upper level. Now, it's important to know that when you create an intercom group, Control4 allows you to put a space in the intercom group, but that is actually not allowed by the SIP. protocol. So make sure that your groups do not have a space in them. That's one of the weird problems I've heard people have had. So once you have an intercom group installed, then you would have a list of all your touchscreens here. And then you would say, okay, I just want it to be in that touchscreen. Okay, so now that you've built that group, if you want to refresh this list, simply select none, and that will rebuild the list. And then now you can select it. So that's how you can switch between intercom groups. Again, if you want to pick a different set of touchscreens. The next section is the subject. This is the subject line of the push notification. So in this case, when the doorbell is pushed, I got an alert on my phone that said Control4 Smart Home, and then someone is at the Doorbird. So that's how this logic goes down. If you wanted it to say, someone is at the front door, then now the push notification would automatically send. And we take care of building the push notification, layering it inside of programming. We do all of that automatically for you. You can actually see if you go to the push notification, it's there, and it's already all pre-configured. Again, like what Jamie was saying earlier, our goal with drivers is to reduce the level of programming complexity that's needed for custom programming. And so I own an AV company as well, and I have a number of technicians, and so I want them to get into the job, make it awesome, make it cool, make it custom, make it a smart home. But they need to go home at the end of the day and not stressed out that, oh, I forgot a left open timer, or oh, I forgot to do that. So that's what these events are all for. If you want to be custom, so we are a custom industry, but if you want to do it yourself, then you would just go in here to doorbell and you would select no on the things you don't want it to do. So let's just say no intercom and none. So now when the doorbell's pressed, nothing's going to happen in this house. So if we go to programming, we can then go here and say when the doorbell has been pushed, and then now you can do all your programming here. This is a good kind of stopping point if you have a Doorbird that has multiple buttons on it. So Doorbird does sell, you can have a whole set of buttons attached to the Doorbird. Then in that case, you would, unless you, this is a generic global doorbell event. So any doorbell in the Doorbird will trigger this event. If you want different buttons to do different things, then I would recommend turning all of these off, or at least the ones that alert you, and then going into programming and saying when the doorbell has been pushed, you can click on the Doorbird, go to conditional programming, and say Doorbird is 101. So that when you have the Doorbirds with multiple Doorbird or doorbells on it, the first one is 101, the second one's 102, 103, and so on and so on. If you don't know, you can always just turn on debug mode on the driver and press the button, and it will tell you everything that's happening here. Our debug logs are very verbose. They're meant to help you guys out. I spent actually quite a long time making sure that the messaging and the wording on that page was as precise as I could make it for you guys, so that we could, you could get done with the job. So let's finish. Let's say we have a Doorbird with two buttons. So the first Doorbird, or the first button, is going to be 101. And then the second one is going to be 102. So then I added those two conditional programming logics into when the doorbell has been pressed. So then I want to do a special intercom between the two. And so I'm going to go into the intercom proxy of the Doorbird. I'm going to go down here and I'm going to say, make a call to, let's just say the top button is everybody, and the bottom button is just the upper level. And there you go. That's now programmed. So now you program those two buttons, and that'll work. We don't have a double doorbell here in our example here. We're using the D11, and so obviously this won't work. But that's how you would do it if you had multiple Doorbirds or doorbells.
Okay. Why don't you show them where those custom buttons are located now, and
Okay.
where they would set those up?
So moving on so when the intercom page popped up, there was those two buttons on the bottom right. Okay, and those buttons are also exist on the Control4 app as well. And so the way that where those are configured is under the intercom proxy of the Doorbird. So you're going to click on the second the second driver, the subdriver, and then it's this section right here. By default, these are off. So if you wanted to have them, which I would recommend, then I would check the ones that you want, and then you type whatever you want it to be called. And then under programming, once you do that, these two events will pop up when intercom button 1 is pressed, when intercom button 2 is pressed. So when it's open, when intercom button 1 is pressed, we told it to open the gate. And when intercom button 2 is pressed, we told it to unlock the front door.
Okay.
So that's how you program the custom buttons. There are a few other settings on this page to be aware of. Just if you guys don't know, is exclude from navigator. If you check that box, then the Control4 touchscreens will not be able to call the Doorbird explicitly. So think of like a SIP call. You have, when you press the doorbell, it's going to ring all of the touchscreens in the house, or whatever you've set as your intercom group. And then whichever device answers, then that call will be established. But you can actually go the reverse way, and you can, from a touchscreen, connect to the Doorbird asynchronously or something like that. If you don't want your customer to have that ability, then you would check this box here. There's also this alternate camera. You guys might remember way in the darker years, we had you guys enabling alternate camera, and that's kind of how we were getting around the multi-video and SIP thing. That's now fixed. However, let's say your Doorbird is positioned maybe off axis of the front door, and so that camera video just isn't quite the right video that you want to show your customer. Then you could say, okay, I want to choose a different camera, like in the house, so, or whatever, and it'll any camera in the project. So instead of the video coming from the Doorbird's camera, it will actually, when the call is made, it will come from from this other camera.
Okay. Why don't you show the user where to set up the users and that stuff?
So, okay. So let's go. So the first thing you're going to do is you would go into the Doorbird app, and you would create users, create RFID tags, Bluetooth, whatever you do. Currently, we haven't designed the Control4 driver to allow inside of Control4 to create user codes. If that's a really big want and a desire, and you guys see that as something you guys would really like to see, let us know. If we get enough likes, then we'll put it in. If we're in the Doorbird, so we're in the Doorbird app, and I'm going to go down here to Keypad. We already have 2 users in the project, but you would just go here, and then you would type a new code in, and that would now be a new user on this Doorbird. Once you add in the users, you can see, Jamie's 1234, I'm 4321. So now that those 2 users are in there, the Doorbird driver polls every 5 minutes for large new information. It's real-time communication with events. So motion detected, doorbell pushed, keypad push, that kind of thing. But I only grab information from the Doorbird every 5 minutes. If you are impatient and want to do it quicker, you can always go here and hit refresh communication, and that does the same thing. So once you, let's go into keypad programming. I'll start at the top. So the first thing I would do is I would go to events and keypad. And so you can see here, it says the user, whatever the user's name is, has opened the door. So I don't know if you guys remember from earlier when Jamie typed his code in, but it said Jamie has opened the door. That's what would happen.
Somebody asked on the pop-up, does that auto cancel after a certain amount of time, or does it?
It is
Is it
30 seconds. I
Okay.
think that is what, yeah, it's 30 seconds.
So Don, it should cancel after 30 seconds.
It's, so you guys know, what I'm actually doing is I'm emulating a Composer event call. There is a pop-up video event in Composer, and it's replicating it for this Navigator pop-up. But yeah, if you wanted to go to specific touchscreens or no touchscreens, this is where you could adjust the list. Out of the box, it does every touchscreen in the house. So if this, we're going back saying, okay, when access has been granted by the keypad, that's the message. We're going to notify the history log in Control4, and you can change the level, the severity level. This is the push notification. So if you don't want it to send a push notification, then you could do that. Obviously, the Navigator pop-up is there. And then this is if you want a custom announcement, and then obviously the default subject as well.
And
so
if they want to do some special programming on that user, how would they do that?
So this is what's going to happen every time a user enters a valid keypad. Okay. Once, just like the doorbell, you can go in here and you can say when keypad access is granted and the last user is, AJ, now you can do custom programming for that person. So you have a homeowner and they have their main code. So it's when homeowner has arrived, do XYZ, but if the cleaning company comes in, do ZYX, right? You can do that kind of level of programming here pretty easily. And you can, this dropdown is dynamic, and this dropdown list will work with Bluetooth users, keypad users, and key fob users, and keypad. I think those are the three, right? Those are the three systems. So. Yeah, yep. Bluetooth, RFID, and keypad.
Yep.
So anyway, okay. So that's how you do the users, the user programming.
While we're in programming section, AJ, somebody, Don asked, can the intercom group be changed programmably?
So how I would do that is, let's say, I think I see what you're saying. So let's go back to the doorbell. Let's say you're going to do something really custom. So we're going to go here. I'm going to turn off intercom group, the default. That's step one. Then I'm going to go into programming and I'm going to say when the doorbell has been pushed, and let's just say it's, where's the scheduler? And it's daytime and nighttime.
Okay.
So then, now that you have your two conditional logics, then you would go back to the Doorbird and you would go to the intercom proxy, because that's what you're manipulating in this case. And you're going to go down here and you're going to say, make a group call to, so at night, I only want it to go downstairs. But during the day, I want it to go everywhere.
So hopefully that shows you that you can change it to where you want it to go, and so forth. So like if you have a home and away mode, right? You can have, when you're home, ring the touchscreens. When you're away, just ring your phones or something like that as well.
Yeah, and it's important here is that don't overcomplicate. Like the way the driver is designed is these events are the most common notifications, events, alerts, whatever you want to call them, that happen. If you're at a project where, I need to do custom, turn them off. Turn off the notifications here and just do everything in programming like you would normally do at any other job. And it's the same level of complexity as any other, control stuff. If security system is armed to away, do it this way. If it's armed, if it's not armed, do this, that kind of thing. So that's how the difference in the programming. So like, I actually use the fingerprint in my house, and my left thumb does one thing, my right thumb does another thing. So I had my right thumb, it actually toggles my garage door. So it actually moves my garage door up and down. And then my left thumb gets me in my front door.
Okay.
So in addition to the camera proxy in the Doorbird driver, the intercom proxy, there's also a UI button with the driver. This is it's a UI button. So if you guys are familiar with Control4, UI buttons can go under the listen, watch, comfort, or security tabs of any room. When you install the driver, it automatically gets I add the UI button automatically gets added to all of the room in the security tab. It gets added to the security tab in all the rooms. So when that button is clicked, okay, so if I double click it and I click it, right, it's going to trigger the relay, okay? And if I look down here, how that is defined is down here. So when the UI button is single tapped, this is what happens. When it's double tapped, this is what happens. We added the double tap because we had it was actually happened here at our showroom, which is my business partner's daughter got a hold of his phone and was like opening and closing all the doors because it was a single tap. So we moved all the big control to double tap. But generally, single tap is where it's at. If again, you want to do custom, you just set this to nothing. And you go here, and now when the DoorBird has been selected, so really what you're saying here is when the UI button has been pressed, do all your programming here, okay? Along with relay, so relay is whenever the relay is triggered, these are the things that are gonna happen, right? So it's gonna send a push alert, and it's gonna say, somebody has opened the door, so maybe it's Control4 open the door because it's programming or whatever. If you have multiple relays, so there is this device that DoorBird sells that it's kind of like an expansion pack for relays. And let's say you needed to do something specific, like let's say let's just go to Keypad and say when Jamie comes in, I actually wanted to trip relay 2 on the DoorBird. So if you click on the DoorBird under actions, there is a trigger relay command. Okay, in here, there's this relay. When you select this, all of the relays that DoorBird has access to will appear. So I don't have a larger the relay, the DoorBird relay junction box with the extra relays in it, but they would pop up. They look something like GGY X01 or something like that, but they'll all pop up here. This DoorBird only has one relay, so that's the relay. Some other DoorBirds have 2, you'll see 2, but again, if you need to trigger a specific relay, it's right here. It's also worth mentioning, since we are talking about relays, is the current API in DoorBird is I can only trigger the relay. So that's the whole command. I can't say set the relay to latched, unlatched, closed, open, whatever. It's just the word trigger. So when it goes to DoorBird, whatever you have defined here, this is what we're triggering. So when it says trigger relay 1, I'm just doing this. So I hope that makes sense. The reason I'm bringing this up is because this comes in with gates and hold open and things like that. And so this is unfortunately the current firmware with DoorBird. I don't have the ability of saying open relay, close relay. I don't get the state of the relay either. So you just be aware of that. Especially when you're doing gates and hold open and that kind of thing.
While we're on this, Don asked, within the DoorBird app, triggering hold open produces a pop-up message, hold open triggered successfully, but doesn't otherwise indicate the current status. What is the proper method to read the display, the current hold open status in the Control4 UI?
So that's what I was getting at.
Okay.
Is that the current DoorBird API does not give me status of the relay state. So that's what I'm hopefully I've answered that.
Okay.
That's kind of what I'm getting. It's like you just have to be aware. Like it's the one gotcha. I've asked DoorBird. I think if more people ask DoorBird, it will definitely get moved further up the chain. But yeah, like if it's I would there's a lot of I could see a lot of benefit of the Control4 driver and other drivers for the other platforms having the ability of knowing if the relay is opened or closed. Again, it would make hold open and gate left open or gate open way simpler.
Would that kind of tie into where our gate integration would help maybe solve that, or no?
Yeah. So we since we're talking about gates and doorbells and how that works, we did make a driver called the gate integration. This is based on my whole career of how to best install a gate with a client. I've probably installed over 100 gate systems in my life, and so this is kind of all of the smart home tech features and notifications and alerts all wrapped up into a singular module. Could you do all of this in programming? Yeah, you could. But this is a one-stop shop. You add it to the job. These are the options, and you move on. Specifically, one is hold open. So we designed this hold open feature to either latch a relay closed or trigger the relay. So, for example, we did this. We did a Doorbird install where relay 1 was the gate, relay 2 was the no, actually, that house we did do the single relay. We did the single relay on the Doorbird, and it was standard momentary. So in a normal gate situation, you have a momentary where you click it, door opens, gate stays open during its standard open length, and then it closes, right? Well, every time you trip that relay to open the gate, it's going to re-trigger that 30-second, 40, whatever the time is, length, and then close the door. So I got clever and was like, okay, I'll just say when you want to hold open, I'm just going to pulse that relay every 5 seconds or 10 seconds, thus leaving the door open. And that's how we figured out how to get around the hold open via this driver.
Yep.
So,
and again, if that's some, like I said, if you would like a private demo, I'd be happy to demo any of these other software solutions. We're right running around 40 minutes. So why don't you just show the doorbell real quick, and then we can kind of just, if you want, this is more if you want like custom doorbell sounds to ring over, let's say some speakers of your Control4 system,
yep,
a touch screen or a Sonos speaker. You could easily do that as well.
Yeah. So like, let's just go through a really typical, like, okay, you're at a house, you need to, they want a ding dong sound through all the speakers in the house, right? So you would have to go here to the announcement. You'd say front doorbell, right? And you would say, okay, when the front doorbell is pressed, I want to play. Oh, now I got to add an audio to my controller. Okay, luckily, and again, this is our test system here, so I already have some audio files preloaded. So then you hit okay, and then you have to go here and say, okay, which rooms of my house, make sure that they all have digital media, set it up. That now you've built this this announcement. You can either do it here, when doorbell has been pressed, trigger that announcement, or just like the intercom group, you can say, doorbell announcement and refresh the list. And now I can click that front doorbell. So now when I'm on relay, my bad. Doorbell. Now I'm going to click front doorbell. And so now when the doorbell's pressed on any of the doorbells, remember, it's going to play this announcement, right? So that's one way you can do it. That works perfectly fine. What we found is that customers also would like, during the holidays, they want a different ringtone, right? Well, that's actually really complicated to do in Control4. You would have to make separate announcements for each type of sound. Maybe during Christmas, they want to do a holiday sound. During Halloween, they want to do some other doorbell sound, right? You would have to change the audio source here. And the only way to do that is to create separate templates. So what we did is we created something called the Doorbell Integration driver, which will grab, these are all the available doorbell sounds that you can choose from. And these are not necessarily located on the controller. These are, we store these on our server. When you select one, it downloads to the controller, and then it can be used locally. But this is when you add this driver in, you define whether it's going to use a contact sensor or it's going to do Control4 programming. We're going to say Control4 programming. You're going to pick your doorbell sound. You're then going to set your output. Do you want it to trigger an announcement agent that you've built? Do you want it to do a set of Sonos speakers, which is what we have here? And if you're going to do Sonos speakers, then you just pick which Sonos rooms you want, say your level. This here is a live camera feed. So this uses it's called the navigation agent with Control4, which basically allows you to pop up a live video of any camera in the project. Obviously the timeout and those kinds of things. So now we've got this built. And so in Control4 programming, you would just say, when doorbell has been pressed, trigger the doorbell driver, right? So we'll go here, we'll say trigger the doorbell there, right? And now, boom, we've got the doorbell entered. If you want to hear it, we also added inside the settings, you can also go here and just trigger the doorbell really quick. And so Merry Christmas. So, and that's the Christmas one. Again, you want to switch to, something different. You just go like that, and then you trigger it. And it's that simple. And you can do this dynamically in programming. So, on Christmas Day, you just change the doorbell sound to whatever. So really slick, really fast. It gives you really makes your Control4 smart home a actual smart home and not just a connected home.
All right, let's leave these last 10 minutes here to answer some questions here.
Okay.
So looks like we have the MD units. Are there any limitations when our setup, for example, is a 5-button Doorbird on a VLAN and our 5 different apartments are on their own network, but can access a Doorbird via VLAN?
Well, so then the question would be, does each one of the Doorbird, so Doorbird is designed for one Control4 system. So that's kind of the important kicker here is you can do an MDU where you have an MDU unit, you have the main unit on the outside of the door and you have a VLAN connecting all the stuff. But if the touchscreen in the job is like its own Control4 system, then that's a different Control4 system, right? That's not the building's Control4. This is because you would have to go here and you would go to communication and the touchscreen has to exist here. So as long as the touchscreen exists here, it'll play. I'm not going to go into really advanced SIP communication configuration, but there is a way to go select this to SIP intercom, select this to manual, and then you can choose your own SIP domain, username, and password, and this will override the default. So if you're using like a more advanced system or using like a building level SIP integration, this is how you could customize it.
Okay, hopefully that answers it. If not, again, feel free to just email us and we'll try to get with you more individually on that. So
yeah, I would. So we get the MDU question quite a bit, and the struggle is that you have to kind of understand how SIP works fundamentally. It's a device that's sending a broadcast call to the touchscreens. So the touchscreens have to be registered along with the Doorbird, all to the same SIP server. And that SIP server is actually what's doing the broadcasting of all the information. So yeah, you could totally put a Control4 touchscreen in every single room of the house or every single unit, but that touchscreen cannot also connect to a local system there, right? So what you can do, however, is you could do like a video VLAN where you push the video to all the touchscreens, like maybe open up a socket or something to allow the video to come across. I would probably do the touchscreen way, have a separate touchscreen in every single room. Doorbird also sells a dedicated touchscreen for MDUs. And that system works, I believe it works through your guys' cloud. That's how it links up. So, I mean, honestly, that's a pretty good solution. to go that way. It allows the homes, the individual units, to still maintain a secular Control4 system, but still have Doorbird running the whole thing. If you wanted to then also like trigger something inside the building, you could use, we've written drivers that allow you to send REST calls or dedicated TCP calls to a controller, and then you can receive it. That's getting really, really advanced. If you need that, we'd be happy to like, take a look at it and help you guys. We do offer some consulting work for dealers who are needing some design and engineering for some of those more advanced MDU sections or setups.
Next question on this sounds like it was a issue. I don't know if he's asking if it's maybe been rectified. He said the RFID reporting kept saying unknown instead of user ID. Has this been that is configured in the Doorbird?
That should be okay. That should be fine. There was a firmware, I think it was like 140 or something like that, where there was an issue. Technically, again, this is because we worked with Doorbird engineering. Grabbing those usernames is not actually part of their public API. So that's actually a special like little nugget that we gave you guys, because that was the exact request, was I need to know which RFID tag has come in. That should be all rectified. I haven't had any issues. I use the RFID tags here and it's all working good.
If it doesn't work, Jason, let us know. And again, you can email me at info@Cindev, and I'll try to reach out to you personally, and we can try to get this resolved for you.
Yeah, but we've actually like sent MAC addresses to Doorbird engineering, and they've logged in. And we had one issue where a guy had a Crestron in a lawn and a Control4 system all trying to connect to one Doorbird. Since I'm talking about that, I should bring up is, again, our driver, or this driver for Doorbird, it is designed for one Doorbird to one Control4 system. So if you have two Control4 systems, each Control4 system is going to effectively overwrite the other Control4 system on the driver. So just be aware of that. If you install like let's say you're testing out like a NICE integration or a Crestron integration, that Doorbird has to be registered to one SIP server. So if it connects to the Crestron SIP server, now it's not going to work with the Control4 server. So just kind of be aware of that.
Okay. One other question. Will the recording of this webinar be made available? Yes, I will send this to everybody that's registered. We'll also put it on our YouTube channel, and I'm going to also send it to Matthew, and I think they're going to try to put it on their YouTube channel as well. And then Rick asked, we used to have a doorbell agent driver that the Doorbell Integration Plus replaced. We revamped it, made it better. So I definitely recommend checking that one out as the replacement for the old doorbell agent we used to have.
Yeah, we spent Jamie and I. Jamie is a long time user of Control4, and he has a unique non-developer perspective on drivers. And he and I and the rest of our team worked a massive amount of time last year redoing all of the integrations, and so all the agents, as what we used to call them, those are effectively getting converted into Integration Plus drivers.
Yeah, so we have a whole bundle of all of our Integration Plus drivers called Integrator Tools Experience Bundle. If you haven't checked those out, I'd definitely recommend that. Last question. He's just having a problem where the calls are not always received on the screen. Is that maybe due to potential like Wi-Fi issue at the home, or what is that like?
I'll try to demystify how the communication works, because I think the problem is that I've seen these in a lot. It's we had one house, actually, I was working with a guy right before the holidays, and he had like, I think it was like 17 touchscreens in his house. And what we found out was Unify's intrusion prevention was actually causing it to crash. So Unify's intrusion prevention cybersecurity software, whatever it was actually blocking. And it was really strange because it was allowing the first call to work, but then it's like the AI realized it was a call or something, and then it basically failed all the rest of them. So I would, when you're talking about SIP and you're talking about how Doorbird communicates to Control4, the way the whole process works is when the driver installs, it registers the Doorbird to the communication agent. So you can see it here. The communication agent is the SIP server. Okay, so when IT people call it the SIP stack, whatever you want to call it, that's the communication agent. Control4 is using FreeSwitch. That's the software package they're using. These are all the settings for it. That SIP server. So when the Doorbird connects, we tell Doorbird, hey, here's the IP address of the SIP server, the director's IP address. This is the username. This is password. We change those randomly, so you can't mess that up. And then it registers that Doorbird to the SIP server. You can see if you're ever watching the logs of the driver, it'll say SIP registration 200. That means it worked. If it's anything other than 200, it didn't work. So once that's ready, once that's done, then when the doorbell button is pushed, we tell Doorbird to make call. So then Doorbird sends a SIP call or a SIP message to the communication server. Okay. Once the communication server then sends a multicast broadcast message to all of the touchscreens in the house. Now, that's a multicast message. So if you have Wi-Fi, multicast, unicast filtering on, that might be affecting it. If you have SIP ALG and you're messing with the packets there, that also could mess with it. There's a lot of networking topology that can mess with SIP. It's the reason SIP is currently used is because it's legacy and it's very tried. It's been around for years and years and years, but it ultimately is a broadcast messaging system. So if you got 20 touchscreens and you're trying to send a UDP broadcast to 20 touchscreens in the house, and you have Wi-Fi that is kind of maybe spotty, or you have some sort of like firewall filtering, it's just gonna you're just going to have issues. So I would really try to pay attention to that. If you're using touchscreens Wi-Fi, maybe make a separate Wi-Fi SSID with separate filtering on it to help that. We've done that in a few jobs where we've made like a customer Wi-Fi that's 5G and fast roaming and all that fun stuff, and then we've made an IoT Wi-Fi, and that's 2.4, and it doesn't have any of the excess filterings, and that can really help.
Okay. Are there looks like that's most of the questions. Hopefully we answered most of them. It's close to an hour here. Matthew, you're muted. I don't know if we want to say anything here for the finish here, but we really appreciate everybody joining us. We'll hang out for another couple minutes if there's any other questions. But otherwise, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you on the next one.
Yeah, thank you guys so much.
Thanks, Jamie. Thanks, AJ. Yeah, final last words from the Doorbird side is we appreciate your time, and please reach out to us at Doorbird if you need any assistance on or questions about Doorbird products or anything we can help you with. We're certainly, of course, happy to do so. And have a great rest of your day.
Okay.
All right. Awesome. All right. Thanks, guys. All right. Take care.
All right. Bye.
Bye.